Thoroughly entertained.
Hey, welcome to the best of everything. I am Ruben Paul, and across from me in his
Festive colors.
his Christmas Mexican attire,
Yeah.
we got the one and only Johnny Sanchez.
Yeah.
What's up, brother?
What's up, man?
We got a special guest.
Good seeing
man.
you at the good seeing you at the Christmas party.
Yeah, it was good seeing you at the Christmas party. And
Yeah.
the man that's sitting in the middle is a legend. He's one of the most talented people I know. He's a very good friend. You guys listen to podcast episode 28. He was on there when Johnny wasn't around. And it was probably the best show we've ever had.
Because I wasn't here.
Yeah,
though.
because you were here. And, but no, so if you want to go back and listen, if you haven't listened to the Michael Bearden episode 28, this is a continuation because we can talk on and on and on with some of these experiences and the things that you've gone through. But ladies and gentlemen, the one and only, the musical director, the producer, the creative,
The arranger.
he does it all. From Michael Jackson to Lady Gaga to Whitney Houston, it goes on and on and on. The inaugural, President Obama's inaugurations, both of them. And
The Kennedy Center honors as well.
yeah, I mean, the list goes on and on, but
a lot.
give it up for the one and only, my brother, Mr. Michael Bearden. Clap, Chris.
Thank you.
Damn it.
Come on, dude. It was crazy.
I also wrote the theme song to this show.
Yes,
I
and-
forget.
Yeah.
Some show called what? What's
The best of everything.
Oh,
the,
yeah.
the theme song that you hear for the show, Michael Bearden did it for me, man. So thank you, man. I'm happy to have you.
right,
how you
man.
been, brother?
I've been good. Just
Working?
Oh, yes. thank
So
God.
you were just recently in Nashville when you were doing a Ray Charles tribute.
Okay,
or-
that wasn't recent. I was in Nashville,
But it just
for something
aired,
else.
right?
It just
It
aired.
just aired. That's what it
on
was.
Thanksgiving. It was a tribute to Ray Charles at the Grand Ole Opry for his country music. So he's been inducted into like every music hall of fame, except for the Country Music Hall of Fame, and he had 2 huge country records.
Isn't it crazy when you think of Ray Charles, you do not think of country music at all?
Well, you do and you don't. Like when the records came out,
Uh-huh.
a lot of people didn't for obvious reasons, and they were
What were the obvious reasons?
Well,
Mike?
the obvious reasons was because he's black.
Let's keep it 100, man.
That's and then especially he wasn't known at that time for doing country music, but as Ray Charles was saying, he grew up listening to that, and that's music is music to him, and so he had 2 huge country records, and the country community embraced him during that time.
Oh,
actually.
really?
Oh, yeah, they really did, and so. So as the state called me and they wanted me to help, put a show together and all that, and we finally got it done and it aired on Thanksgiving, and it was a lot of hard work, but it was a great time, and
So-
I had a good time down there too.
Go ahead, Johnny.
No, you go ahead. I have a feeling you might be.
I was just going to ask
Yes,
you,
yeah.
what is a popular Ray Charles country song?
Oh my goodness! Well, a lot of the ones he redid.
Oh, he did remakes.
He did remakes. I'm not sure that he had an original country song.
So there was like tribute. It was sort of like country music tribute albums. That
Yes, but I mean, he did them in his way, just much like Luther Vandross will do a Carpenter song, and then he would do it his way, and then you never even heard the Carpenter songs before, because once Luther did a song, it was Luther's song.
Got it.
Ray did. I mean, there's so many. I can't think now because it's not. I'm not in my head right now with the country, but there's a lot. But one that's sort of considered a country song is Georgia that he did. And,
that's
and
right.
so,
That's right. Yeah.
that's still one of the most popular songs.
So go ahead, Johnny.
Well, I'm just curious when these 2 albums came out. Was this early in his career? Are we talking 60s?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So he
Oh,
did.
wow.
He did that even among his popularity.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And would that be is before or after Charlie Pride?
That's a good question. I'm not sure when. It probably.
Because wasn't Charlie Pride late 50s? Or am I?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
We'll have
but Charlie's still around too.
Yes. And I how many times have I told you? How can there not be a movie about Charlie Pride.
About his life story, yeah.
His life story.
I just saw something on him too that was really entertaining. I can't remember.
I mean, even the documentary would be, I'm sure there might be a documentary.
It wasn't a doc,
No?
though. It was
Okay.
like an expose or something on it. There was a lot of things that I didn't know either. But he was extraordinary.
I mean, I just don't, and for him back then to be, you know,
yeah, man.
So that's what I kind of figured. I figured these albums were with Ray Charles, back on Ray Charles now, were somewhere in his earlier years. So that's interesting.
Years,
man, I'm gonna have to look that up. I'd love to listen to some of his country songs.
Yeah, it was really great too. It was, you know, the royalty from the country too. I mean, we don't have to stay on this topic, but it was Trisha Yearwood, Travis Tritt, Ronnie Millsap came through. A newer, younger cat, Chris Young, who I really love. He sang with Boyz II Men too.
That's right.
A new young artist named Cam. She's really extraordinary. Leela James. Uncle Charlie came through. My boy Charlie Wilson came through.
Oh wow.
Leanne Rimes did her thing. If I didn't mention her before, I mean, it was, you know, and then Darius Rucker was the host. You know, really great shout out to the Grand Ole Opry, which is like the shrine of country music. It's like, you know, it's like their Apollo. So it was, you know, it was really great.
So in doing that show, they basically sang Ray Charles versions of different songs? Oh, that's cool.
Yes.
So how long did it take you to prep for a show like that?
Oh, wow. Well, most of the hard part was just trying to, getting the artist to agree to commit. Mm-hmm. That's always difficult with management and optics and, you know, how things look and, you know, a lot of nonsense I don't really want to get into. But so once we get the people who want to do it, then it's just trying to get the songs, you know, selected and who gets to do what, you know, and certain people have, you know, a little more cachet than others because they've been in business longer. So, you know, somebody like Trisha can do what she wants, you know. So, and she came in and she was amazing and just killed her things. Like Trisha was like, I was a huge fan. After that, and so it takes a minute. It's just like any other show for me. It's just, you know, once you get all that, then the music part is the easiest part for me. It's just, you know, getting it all together. It's just everything else. Yes.
So I always hear you when we talk, like, to you as a musician, you just say music is music. Mm-hmm. And when we just talked about Ray Charles, like, he just did a country album because to him, like, he probably never just saw himself in one category. Right. I'm a singer, I'll sing songs. So during that time, or this is probably even today, when artists make an album, do they go, okay, this is going to be an R&B album, this is going to be a pop album, this is going to be a country album, or do they just make the music and then it finds itself in whatever category?
Well, that's an interesting question. I'm not really sure the process of most artists today, but most artists today put out what they put out, and they are what they are.
Gotcha.
And that's where their lane is. It would be difficult right now, to say, for instance, Miguel. To put out a country record. Like, although I think somebody like Miguel could probably do it.
Well, I think of somebody like Gaga when she did the album with Tony Bennett. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, that was a jazz, considered a jazz album. And just her versatility, I think, is dope. But I just don't think a lot of artists, for whatever image, record companies or whatever, have the ability to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah, you know, a lot of it probably comes from their desire to do it as well, and what they grew up with. I just happen to know that Gaga grew up listening to that. Like, she was singing Lush Life at 13, 14 years old, and so she is very familiar with the material and the genre, and, you know, how that goes. So to me, as it stands now, you know, we're in Vegas doing 2 residencies. We do a pop show and a jazz show, which I conduct the orchestra. It's like 30 musicians on stage. I'm connecting to her. She's one of the few, if not the only, you know, young pop star that could really go between both worlds
and kill it.
And she's really killing it too on both shows.
Are those shows are all in one, or you got a choice to see her pop music and her and
you have a choice. It's two different shows. It's
two different shows,
two different stages, two different.
Man,
looks.
I'd almost like to see the. I mean, I'd love to see both.
I want to see the jazz show.
But
We
jazz
talked
show,
about it.
yeah.
And that's the most popular one, right? The jazz show.
It's becoming the most popular one. I mean, they're adding shows all the time, and we're at the end of our first year run. We have 2 years with a third year option. So we'll see what she wants to do then. But we're ending. I think the day after. When do we start? The 28th is the next pop show. Then we do another pop show on the 30th, and then New Year's Eve we do our jazz show.
Well, show's hot when I'm like, hey man, maybe I'll come on New Year's Eve. Mike was like, nah. That's gonna be hard, Rube. They're not giving out any comps to that one, man.
That's gonna be a hard one.
Yeah, man.
I mean, because here's the thing about it is, she's really doing her thing on there, but I think most shows in Vegas have been geared towards younger audiences, and not that this is young people come to her the jazz show too, like her fans, because Gaga. So she's introducing them. Some people who may not embrace the genre, but the older folks who've been there, who are used to like Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack days and all that, they want to come out with their little furs and pearls or whatever they want to do, cool. and sit and have a nice evening out, and that's what's we've been able to bring back with the
I mean, I think I would even dress up. I would put a suit on for that.
I was going to ask you a question. Do you notice a difference in the attire between the pop show and the jazz show?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, the kids come how they come.
Yeah.
I mean, even if they come for the pop show, it is what it is. They're in the mosh pit. They're doing their thing. They'll come to the jazz show. They'll still be bedazzled, if you will, but it'll be a little more elegant and dressed up, because that's how she is. I mean, I won't give her a show. I mean, but she's in gowns, and they have me in tails and all that kind of thing.
So
nice. Yeah, it's great.
So for you, being the musical director of both shows, the pop show and the jazz show, you're actually working. I'm not saying that you're not working, but you're on stage performing.
Yeah, I'm working all the time.
I know you're working all the time. I know you're working. He works all the time.
I'm working. No, but I'm physically on the stage with my baton in front of the orchestra.
So how is that? How are those show days for you? Because with the pop show, you're behind the scene. No one really sees you, from what you told me, right?
Right.
But on this one, is it a different energy you feel that day of the show? It's like, okay, it's the jazz show tonight. Like, as a comic, we get, when it's show day, there's a different type of energy I think we have on the day of a show. Like, Johnny told me something funny one time. He was on vacation and he wasn't really drinking. They're like, hey, why don't you have another drink? He's like, I got a show tonight. It's like, oh, I'm on vacation. I don't have a show tonight, because the way you carry yourself during the day when you have to perform is different.
No, it's true. And so for the pop show, I'm still directing, but I'm just behind the scenes directing it. The younger guys on stage.
And you're in her ear, correct?
Yeah, I'm in her ear. And so, we have our communications, and I'm directing the band and all the transitions. I won't give the show away.
Yeah.
But you're right. On the jazz show day, I try not to go out late at night before and all of that, because, as I said, so for the jazz show, it's all live. It's all organic. There's no click track. But I should say the pop show is too. Like, she sings, I won't she and I go back and forth, but she will not lip sync, because she just because she can sing. She sings live, and I just insist. And not that she's resistant, like, she wants to sing live, and that's what she does. And she's flying and flipping, and I still sing it. Like, and a lot of people can't believe it, but
and this is not.
I will always encourage her to do that.
Yeah, but this is not really. This is just a general question with artists. Because as artists, we do so many shows. I know Johnny's had voice issues sometimes when we do lots of shows consecutively. Is there ever a time, and this is not with Gaga, we know Gaga, where an artist is like, man, I love singing live, but my voice is tired. Do they go to a track then, some of them, just to save their voice? Or do they, because you don't want to cancel the show, right? Like, how does that?
Right.
I always wonder about that.
Every artist is different,
and there's no shame in that to me. I don't think. Do you? If your voice is tired, man. If you're hoarse.
Well, See, I came up so differently.
Break it down.
So it's like, okay, to me, that's like load management, right? That they're talking about in sports.
In sports and basketball.
And so part of here's the thing about being a singer. This is your instrument. Your body is your instrument. So climate change is like, I always tell people, we get paid for the travel. The gig is the easy part. Getting on planes.
We talk about that all the time.
We try to explain that to bookers all the time.
Dealing with all the travel, like you guys.
Going through security, going all that stuff, man.
That is a drag. And
that's what you're paying for.
That's what you're paying for.
That's
I understand that as a singer, you're still going through that. But it's your job. Like singers are athletes. So
good point. That's a good point.
It's your job to be on vocal rest the night before. Try to get the rest. Try not to have your handlers in your ear all the time. Like make sure you have a space where you have some personal time. Like so. I mean, but there's things that like so. What Whitney would say, like Nip would come in.
She's thinking about her right now. When he was saying,
I'm feeling a little tired tonight, and God bless her. Like we were doing when I was first touring with her, we were doing like all these little places like Ames, Iowa, and Narragansett. Like we were like everywhere in America on a bus, and so you're right. Like you definitely will come in, but so she'll just say, ask the band, can y'all play that a step lower or something like that, and so it's easier on her voice. Or here's the old school trick, and I'll just give this away. When it comes to a high part in the song, artists, you see them take that mic and they do that for the audience.
That's just to save their voice.
That's just so there's like all these little tricks, and so for me, like you don't want to cancel the show, and they do everything to not cancel the show because some people don't get a chance to see you and then if you cancel the show, you don't know, like they got babysitters, they went and got their hair done, they got spent their money, like got off work early, all this stuff. Like people want to come to the show, so when it's canceled, that's a whole big deal. So artists don't want to cancel the shows. Like so if it's something really really bad and they just can't sing, I understand, but if you got any kind of voice at all, get on stage.
And I've always wondered about with lip syncing, are the artists just moving their mouth, or are some of them singing it just softly? Does everybody have their own?
Everybody has their own thing. But to me,
it'd be awkward to just move your mouth.
Because that's what we do. That's what we would do.
You kind of have to sing it. Like the reason most artists lip sync is because they're doing dance.
They're dancing.
Yeah. So the breathing
but I'll bring it back to my girl. Like I said, Richie Jackson, the choreographer, brilliant, has her flipping and doing all kinds of. I mean, he's always watching out for her and making it easy enough for her to sing, if that in fact. But to her credit, she wants to do steps. Like she wants to get in there and get with the dancers. So. She probably builds that stamina during the rehearsal period, right? She builds the stamina, and she's been doing it for so many years now. And so, to her credit, I think doing the steps actually helps her sing it better.
Yeah,
because it's hard to just stand there and do it's great what she does.
So somebody like Michael Jackson, who it just seems like he was in constant movement, because I never got a chance to see Mike perform live.
Me neither.
And I don't know. Was there ever a time where he had to lip sync, or was he always live? Because dude, some of his choreography, man, him and Janet both.
Yeah,
and I know Janet lip syncs, sometimes.
Yeah. You can kind of see it sometimes too at award show.
But like Mike said, whatever. It's like when you see somebody, and it's not like this is no knock on. This is just my opinion. It's not like she was known for her vocal ability. Janet was more of a whole entertainment package, I think. I think she was the look, the dance, the just.
Yeah, I'll back up to, Gaga is a special one. It's not that all the other artists I work with aren't.
I got you.
She's just a special. She just likes to push herself in that way. But to me, there is no shame in lip syncing, especially when we know that you sang the songs originally.
Absolutely.
It's not a Milli Vanilli kind of thing. So if we know you did it.
Yeah.
But my thing is, I don't want to hear it the whole show. Because you could listen to the record at home. Why am I coming to the show?
And they used to say, you would remember that Britney Spears went through that a while there, where people were complaining, saying there's no way she.
But after they heard her sing, they preferred the track.
But
Brittany.
Boom!
Put the track back on.
Shots fired.
Oh man, I can say so much right now.
I know you can. I know you can.
Well, but no, I mean, Mike, so This Is It was when I was working with Michael as his music director, but I also worked with Michael at the 30th anniversary concert at Madison Square Garden, 2001. And, when he got with I was working with him, his brothers, and everybody else on the show, so I was tired. But, when we did the Jackson 5 segment that we did, it was no tracks because we didn't have no tracks. So they was just all live. And it was so great to see them together. First of all, I'm from Southside Chicago and they're from Gary, Indiana. So to see, that was my childhood heroes and somebody that looked like me when I was a kid, and for me to actually be working with them. But what was great was to see them amongst each other as brothers. Yeah. And the old school tricks. This is what I like about people who've been through the struggle, people who actually came up in show business the right way. So on one time in rehearsal, we were doing some song and they're all singing, and Randy and everybody, and then it was their time to sing, but the mic was out or something was happening with the mic, and they're looking at each other, and they didn't even miss a step. I think Jackie or somebody threw him the mic. Boom, they started singing, and then it went back. It was like the smoothest thing ever. I was just like, and the whole band, we just like looking at them like, whoa.
When I think of the Jackson performing together, I just think of "Can You Feel It?" That's just the energy of that song. Yeah, man. Oh, man, I hate that I never got a chance to see him perform live, man. When you see those
I didn't get to see Prince
documentaries of grown men.
That's what that first song we started with at Madison Square Garden too.
Was Can You Feel It? Oh, man. I know that got people up out their seats, dude.
And nobody sat down the whole time.
You've had so many great experiences of playing the Super Bowl, and You've done the Super Bowl more than once, right? Or just the one time with Gaga?
Well, the one time with Gaga, but
and then with Whitney you played, right?
We didn't play. We were there.
You were there.
Yeah,
okay.
supporting her for
the national anthem.
Yeah, she just sang the national anthem. Yeah.
But one thing that stood out to me during our last interview, and it kind of resonated, and me and Johnny talk about this from time to time, is when I asked you, how did you get the Michael gig? And you said, for every working Terminal D and all these all the gigs that you have to do along the way to get to where you are. And, me and you talk, there's really no skipping steps. Like, you might think you're skipping steps, but sooner or later, the work has to be done or you're not going to be around.
No, I mean, that's true. It's funny you remember Terminal D because we were talking about Bill Bellamy.
Bellamy, yeah.
Bill used to open for, and this is black violinist named Noel Pointer.
And what was the name of the band again?
Noel Pointer was his
Noel Pointer.
He was a violinist, black, way before violinists that are now a big black man with a blue violin, and he was really popular. Just Google him if you need to find out. But no, you're right. The thing is, like, you just don't get off the bus and then come to LA or Hollywood and go, I want to be Michael Jackson's music director. Like, that's not how it works. There's so many other steps that you have to go through. And the thing is, looking back on it too, is like, you don't want to skip the steps. Had I skipped some steps, I don't know if I would have had the opportunity to become Michael's music director or Gaga or whoever else I'm working with, Madonna for 9 years and all these people. Especially for going back to Gaga, I had to go through some steps, to become a conductor. And then when it came time for this jazz show, I was able to just step in and be the conductor of her jazz show.
You've done it before.
A million times. And was able to translate what she needed and synthesize it from the audience and connect the orchestra to her. And to do it for the audience, I meant to say. So yes, you don't want to skip the steps. You have to go through a lot. You may not like it while you're going through it, and a lot of it looks really dark. But the best way to success is don't stop.
Yeah,
just
true.
And on this is, I mean, I'm not even comparing what he's done and accomplished, but to that, I'll meet newer comics that are coming up and a lot of them say, yeah, man, I'm taking these classes. Because in the class, they guarantee you that you can cut 5 years off of the struggle.
Oh, geez.
So, in other words, you don't have to worry about those bomb nights. You don't have to worry about. They're going to help you elevate your writing and your performance. And I go, man, I would never change those first 4-5 years, man.
What they don't tell those students is they're cutting the 5 years off of their struggle, not the student's struggle. Because after you pay us, we cutting the 5 years off of our struggle.
That's right. But like no short. You're gonna have to put the work in at some point anyway.
But it's interesting because we see in this industry, whether it's the music industry, whether it's comedy, like. You never want to say people get things before they're ready, but sometimes people get thrusted into a position and they don't have the pedigree.
Yeah.
They haven't worked. They haven't done that. One thing I'm confident about, and we all have this in common, is I can't think of a situation I haven't been in comedically.
Truth.
So
Facts.
I never panic.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Just because I've done the shows in the bars when the Laker game is on and they won't turn off the TV and you still got to perform and get laughs and get their attention. I've done the corporate shows where they're eating while you're performing.
Plates clanging.
Listen, come on.
I've done the shows in
outside.
The hood. Yes.
Or outside
outdoor
at a park
shows
somewhere.
doing shows at a park.
Y'all living my life.
Done shows where there's gangsters in the audience.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yes.
We'll whoop your ass if you say the wrong thing or if you're not funny. Like there's that tension. I've done those shows. I've done shows where you walk out and you get booed before you grab the mic. So when you've been through all these, and I remember like hosting award shows. I can't remember who was hosting the show. And me and Johnny was like, man, award shows are a tough gig.
Everybody thinks it's
and to a comic, you never feel good when you're not at your best. But I'm sure there's a part of you that goes, I've been through this before.
What's so interesting about this, the parallels, because I'm a comedy fiend. I love both of you guys. I'm always at Ruby Tuesdays in the show. And there's been some times in Ruby Tuesdays where it was just, scarce. I should just say it like that. And you will still go on stage and shine and do what you do and bring, if it's, I'm just exaggerating. Maybe it's 15 people in the audience, and it feels,
there's been shows with 15 people, bro.
And it feels like it's 115, because you will still go in and do it. And I've been in those shows, as you said, especially when I was in college, and it's the fifth set, and it's 3 drunk people in there, and it's the fifth show, like I said, and it's 3 a.m, and you still got to give, like it's 300 people out there. Right. So it's so many steps that you don't want to skip. So you're able to handle these things. A lot of people ask me, "Well, are you nervous when you go on stage? And were you nervous at the Oscars and all?" Like no. Yeah, that's really the real answer is no.
It's just like your poise, man. Like whenever I see you work, like especially when you were on Georgia's show. I mean, just the command and that when you did that was, I mean, of course you've been musical director and stuff, but that was your first gig as a band leader on a television show on a regular basis, right?
On a regular basis. So here's the steps. So I was, and this is how long ago it was. I worked when I was living in New York. I worked with Bill Cosby. And I worked on the Cosby Show. And how it happened was.
And what were you doing on the Cosby Show?
Well, I worked in the band. There was a composer and a leader and all that. I was just in the band, and we worked in, doing cues and stuff and recording cues. But I did Felicia Rashad's show. So what they did was Bill would go to Vegas 3 times a year, 2 weeks at a time at the Hilton. So
that's right.
And so I was in Felicia's band, and she would come out and do like a half hour like cabaret dance. Debbie Allen was involved. The great Michael Peters, who was the director of Beat It and the choreographer of Beat It and Thriller. Like he did all those dances. Like he was involved. And so I was a baby in this business. So I got to meet Bill through that, and so I did the show, and I'm only bringing that up because one day I get a call, and he goes, "I would like for you to play with me on the David Letterman show." And so we do the David Letterman show.
What was he doing?
He was hosting because David was sick. I think he had
shingles.
It was a heart thing.
Oh, it was a heart thing.
It was
okay,
a heart thing. Okay. And so a lot of guest hosts. And so Bill was one of them. So I went on, and it was another guy. And so Paul Schaefer, who's David's band leader, was there, and he was just like, "Man, you got something with you. Like, so a lot of times, there's going to be a lot of guest hosts. I'm not going to do them because I only come when Dave is there, or if there was he's Jewish, so if there was a Jewish holiday, he wasn't able to be there. Can I call on you? I was like,
so this is Paul Schaefer asking you, can you fill in sometimes?
And so for 7 years, I would fill in for Paul Schaefer in and, off and on with different guest hosts. And I would come in, I would learn, and David got real comfortable with him. And so that wasn't for me. It was CBS. So when I got to George Lopez Tonight
been
show,
there, done that.
Been there, done that. It was already familiar. So the steps that you don't miss, and that was the reason why I got called to do that.
One of my favorite parts of going to that show, getting there early and everything, it was to come in and watch you guys rehearse. Just to go up kind of in the stands, with all the writers and stuff like that, and everybody kind of the crew hanging out and just watching you guys work. Because to put a show together, people sometimes don't realize how much work goes into it before the cameras roll.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And just to see the rehearsal and then just to see the flawless execution, once the show started, it was just dope to watch,
that.
man.
You my friend, but I always appreciate when you say that, because you're saying that sincerely.
Oh yeah, I'm not going. I'll never bullshit you, just like you never bullshit.
No.
Yeah.
But the thing about that is, it was constant work for me. So good night, and we do the last thing. I still remember my theme I wrote. So, but good night. I go to my trailer. I talk to some of the writers what we're doing tomorrow, and then I'm going home. I might eat a little dinner or whatever, and then I go right back to work. And so when you came to those rehearsals, I was just like, so this is what's going on today. This is what's going. And now here's the cool thing about that band, because they were pretty much fearless, and so I could do things with them. Because a lot of things they weren't privy to, so I had to teach them. When you saw the rehearsals, but a lot of times I would make up stuff as we got more familiar with each other. I make stuff up. So, for instance, Justin Timberlake was on the show one time, and he and George were talking, and I had something programmed to go out to break, something that we rehearsed. But in the conversation, they were talking about where he's from, Memphis, and then they started talking about Stax Music or something. So I go to the band, I have a closed mic to them. I'm like, okay, abandon that cue. We're going to do Stax. Key of F. Watch my count off. I'm going to call off all the chords. And to their credit, everybody was just like, bet, let's go.
Let's go.
I said, and they count me down, Michael, we're going to commercial, 5 foot. I go, 1, 2, 3. And then we just go. Fearless in front of millions. And so I'm calling off chords like, F, go to the 4, go to, what musicians speak. But
see, people have when we talked the first time, people have no idea how meticulous your job is. You're playing and giving direction at the same time.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean?
It's the first time I ever did the Emmys. I was so nervous, and I'm the conductor.
Why?
I was nervous because it wasn't that I could not do the job. I knew I could do the job. I just didn't want to mess it up for everybody else. And I was nervous. I wasn't nervous that I was not qualified. That's a different kind of nervous. I was just nervous because it was unfamiliar.
Gotcha.
But at the same time, I had to jump in it. And once you get an opportunity, you got to take it.
Yeah.
And so I'm laughing because I did everything the hard way. I could have did a little bit easier. So for instance, there are categories in front of you, and let's say they're like 8 categories. This is the best whatever picture. And so when the categories are called, I have 8 pieces of music in front of me as a conductor. So it might be Modern Family, it might be, I don't know, Seinfeld, it might be Game of Thrones or whatever it is. So
whoever wins.
These are all different songs. These are all different themes, all different tempos, all different vibes. Whoever's winning, and we don't know who's winning. And so the director is in my ear, and he knows the camera shots, he knows, but we don't know who's going to win. And they say, and it's Game of Thrones. So right away, I have to figure out what the feel is in the time, and then I got to communicate it to the orchestra.
Yeah.
And we got to be on air making some kind of music.
So all right, just to follow
I
on
always
this
thought
process.
they would know who was winning.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I was like, they have to know because they got to play it immediately.
So what is that timing like when they go, and the winner is? Game of Thrones.
1, 2, 3. Like that's how. So it's not even that fast. It's not even that much. I gave too much count off. I'll go 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6. Really.
So everybody has to be. What if somebody was like, drinking some water?
I was just going to ask.
The orchestra, they're way too professional. Besides,
he's counting off.
No. Plus, I'm giving standby. I'm like standby orchestra, standby.
Gotcha.
Once your hands go up, everybody knows to get their instruments up. So and the Game of Thrones, 4, 5, 6. But the thing is, I have to, peruse the sheet. Find the cue, give the tempo, and it's nerve wracking. So now, what we did eventually in other years was we were able to find out from the director. Maybe I said, can we get like a 3-second, 5-second of who's going to win? They don't know who's going to win before, but once the tabulations come in, or some director has to know what the shots are. So I don't know how we figured this out. And then the other thing now that's so ridiculous is we can pre-record these cues. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, I'm giving away secrets, but we can pre-record the category. Going to bumpers and all that stuff, I like to do live because I never know what Ricky Gervais is going to do, or whoever, some comedian, and you never know, or like all those chasing them off the stage and doodling off. Those are live.
Yes, yeah. So what?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So that's the next. Now, who's giving you the cue?
The director.
The director is always giving that, and that's usually Glenn Weiss. Glenn's a great guy.
I've seen his name so many times.
Emmy Award winner. We've done a lot of crazy shows together. Award shows and just off the cuff shows, like game shows and stuff. But he's really great. So, but we have different intensities of get off the stage. So there's like first is the polite little cocktail.
So at some point, I know you. I mean, I don't know if you can give this away. At some point, is Glenn in the ear like, man, let's get this motherfucker off the stage. There has to be moments like that. Man, would this motherfucker shut the fuck up?
I will.
I know it.
But we get it. It's got to get to that. And isn't there? Are there times where they wait a little longer for someone that's a bigger name?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's what I've always kind of felt.
Especially I forget who it was one year. It was somebody who's been in the business forever, and it was just, I got the cue to do it, and I pushed back. I say, really? Do we want to do that now? Like, I will say, like, can we just give him another second? And then you give a little polite thing, but you don't give the full intense thing. But the thing that was disappointing for this year's Emmys,
I love this,
was that they didn't have any live music this year.
Oh wow!
So it was all pre-recorded.
All pre. You did this last year's Emmy, right?
I didn't do last year's Emmy because nobody did. It was all a pre-recorded thing. So hopefully they'll change that.
Yeah. What about those people who they're in their speech and the music kind of starts a little bit, and oh no, you can shut that music. You can shut it off. I've been waiting my whole life for this. But how does that make you? You know what I mean? Like I'm always like, that irritates me when actors do that or musicians, and they're just like, No, you hold up, man. You can shut that music off.
No, to their credit, they are right. I mean, because they're excited and all that, but they're told beforehand from the producer. But there's a whole speech before the show even starts, like about times and be respectful of everybody else who wants to win.
But see, Ruben and I, it goes to being stand-ups and getting the light. Because I always feel like you're being disrespectful to not only the orchestra, the you guys doing the music, but also the people that are waiting for their next turn. I mean, that's how I look at it. It gets a little ridiculous with some of them.
For some of them, but I agree. But I kind of, if you've been in the business for
30 years, 25
30 years,
you finally
you've never won anything, and you win, it's like. Y'all gonna have to be mad at me, man.
Yeah.
Like I need to get what I have to say out. Because who knows when I'll ever get back up here again.
And I understand it. I understand it. I mean, people who say, listen, I was nominated for an Emmy that I did not win. And I won't go into that, but people who say you don't want to win, when you're sitting out there, you want to win.
You want to win. Yeah.
You want to win. And so if you do and you get a chance to win, you want to say, my thing is that, I don't feel disrespected as a conductor. But I hate when people discount the musicians. That's what I don't like. I don't like when people just take the music for granted or just discount us or just like you said, oh, y'all gonna just have to be mad at it. Well, no, because you're not the only one. I have 100 pieces of music right here that I gotta get through. Like, come on now.
Yeah,
we're professionals too. We're working too. Just don't discount us.
Right.
So,
oh, by the way, earlier I had no idea. I meant to catch this earlier, but since we're back on this. I didn't know you called it a baton. I always assumed it was a wand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Did you know it was baton?
No.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
It's a conductor's baton.
Baton.
The wand is for children's musicians. Magician party.
Yeah. No disrespect. I didn't know that. I would have never guessed baton. I just always because if we talk, notice that guy, the conductor. He picked up his wand when he was doing his.
I used to call it stick.
Stick.
No, and why is that though?
Why
did you not know that?
Yeah, I've never heard it. I've never heard. Well, a lot of times conductors aren't. I haven't been in a whether it's a play or where the conductor's like, as I pick up my baton, I will. I've never heard.
I think what I'm getting to is there should be more music in schools.
I agree.
Absolutely.
So it's interesting that you brought that up because I kind of want to go to your journey. We talked about your journey the last time you were here, how young you were when you started playing, some of the bands and everything that you're a part of.
Chris,
but I'm sure when you first started, you're like, I love music. I'm going to play music. That's what I do. I'm a musician. Did you ever have thoughts of for a comedian, you might go, man, I love stand-up. I want to do stand-up. I want to transition into film, television, host my own show or whatever. What do you remember what your goals were early on, what you wanted to accomplish, what you wanted to do? Because me and you talk, I still think you'll accomplish anything that's on that list because you have so much more left to do. But I'm just thinking early on, was there ever you go, man, I want to be a musical director one day. I'm sure that
never happened.
That never happened.
You know what I mean?
Or I want to play on the Oscars one day. I want to play on the Emmys one day. Those are things that you've done, but that's not something necessarily your journey just kind of took you there.
Yeah,
correct.
And that's the beauty of this, is that you never get to the destination. Because if you do, that means you stopped.
You stop.
And then what do you do after that? It's the journey, it's the path that is the blessing. It's the journey and the path that is so beautiful. So for me, when I first started, I don't know if I told this on episode 28. I didn't know I had a number. But, the babysitter used to play Aretha Franklin, when we were just running around being rambunctious or whatever, and I would just used to sit down because something about her voice just got to me, and that just inspired me somehow to just want to be.
Her voice is one of a kind.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy, and then I grew up to work with her, which is amazing. But and so, my mom tells the story really well about my dad coming in and saying, "You're gonna play piano and you're gonna play guitar." I won't go into the story. So we were kind of forced to play, but I wasn't forced at all because once I started, I have not stopped since. Yeah. And so, but early on, I had goals to work and not necessarily be known, but work with known people. Especially since I said the Jackson 5 were so influential in my life. I just really wanted to meet Michael.
Yeah.
And meet the Jackson 5, and I grew up to be his music director. So to answer the question thoroughly is you just start and you just go and then you pursue getting good at what you do. And so that was my thing. I would be in the house 8 hours a day on the weekend. My mom would say, "Why don't you go outside like regular kids?" I ain't a regular kid. And literally.
And you knew you weren't.
And I knew I wasn't. And the piano was my escape from all the South Side of Chicago-ness. Yeah. So that was the thing. And so here's the thing that I tell people now, when I come in and do, I did something recently for a major studio that I won't, say, and I did something that I scored in 2 days, and they were so amazed. And I said to them, one, just because I can score it in 2 days doesn't mean I like doing it. Yeah. But two is I can because I did all this work years and years before.
Yeah,
that's
so
why.
So we make it look easy.
You make it look easy.
Yeah, but it's dude, I need time.
Come on, man.
You're talking about
you're talking about decades of dedication.
Yeah.
Of diligence.
Well, when I think of your career and just all that you do, it's kind of I don't want to say it's a gift and a curse, but when you're good at a lot of different things, you kind of find yourself
spread out. You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, you know, Michael can do this, he can do that, you can do, you know what I mean? All these things, and it's like, well, I would like to just sit down and produce a record sometimes, but I'm always busy doing all these other things where some people probably, I don't want to say pigeonholed, they just don't have as many options as you have.
Well, that's true. I mean, a lot of times if you have a lot of light, and I'm not saying I'm light,
I mean, come on.
But it gets diffused when it's going that way. And if you're just doing one thing, it's laser, right? But my thing is this, especially in this business, and you guys know this, when one thing is not happening, you can be doing something else. Yeah. And that's how you have longevity in this business. I've been doing this for 35 years. And I said something, I was on set the other day, I'm doing a film right now, and the film is wrapped, but I'm going to score it soon, and I'm also in the movie. And I was saying this to a couple of the actors, that I have never had like a 9-to-5 type of job, punch card and all that kind of, and it's not a knock on it, but I just have only done music my whole entire adult life. And then I started walking it back because I kind of felt embarrassed, and I kind of felt like I was, you know, I don't know if it's boastful or what it's, but it's not. I've only had. But he said to me, he said, "Man, don't walk that back. That's inspirational."
Absolutely.
To people. Like he said, don't walk that back. He said, man, that's the goal. That's what you want to get to. And the reason I've been able to have this kind of longevity, and knock on this wood, is that I've been able to do all these other jobs, and I have a unique skill set where I can conduct, where I can compose, where I can arrange, where I can be a music director, where I can just be a musician, where I can be a producer. And now I'm getting more into, you know, the expertise that I've had. You can call me for that at a fee. And we can talk about things. You can consult, and you know. So now it's about that too. So
I just think it's great that, you know, you've done so many things, and now after 35 years, you can be a little bit more choosy of what you want to do, what you want to invest your time in doing. Of course, you got to pay your bills and do whatever you want to do, but I know we talked about you going more into producing, you know, music, original music. Now, who were your role models? Like, who did you, when you were coming up at some, like you're just playing music, because you know who you remind me of, but for you, who was somebody that you go, like, you look at their career path trajectory and you go, man, I would love to have a career like that?
Well, I mean, I'm from Chicago, as I keep saying, because I love my city. Quincy Jones.
Of course. I mean, and you know, I just think, dude, when you I don't know if you've seen the Quincy Jones documentary.
I've seen. I didn't finish the whole thing. I started watching it late at night, so I got through half of it. I got to finish it up. Yeah,
it's great. But to me, he's so unique. And when I think of you, it's that same uniqueness. And I think people don't really know you as a producer, but I've heard some of the original music that you produce, and it's dope. And for me, as your friend, like, I want you to have success. You've had success in all these other places. I want to see you conquer that also, because I know you will.
Yeah, I mean, well, I've
I hear a quick story. Just Bishop Lamont. Bishop Lamont is a rapper from my neighborhood, from Carson. He's a ghostwriter for a lot of, you know, he's written for a lot of other rappers. And just in some casual conversation, you brought his name up, and I was like, you know, because he's not famous. It's not like he's Snoop Dogg or Eminem or something like that.
But he knows all of them.
Yeah, he knows all of them, and he's dope. And it was like, yeah, man, I'm going to go do this thing with Bishop. I was like, how the hell do you know Bishop Lamont? Like, yo, man, we working on some stuff together. And it just showed your versatility from conducting an orchestra to doing jazz, and now you're doing work with a rapper. You know?
I'm actually working with a rap label now.
Remember we talked about that.
Found, and well, it's called Gwen Records, GUI Records, and we just released our first artist.
What's the name again? You sent me a track from him, right?
His name is LB1990X. We have another artist coming out first quarter next year, named Sylvan LeCue, and I'm real excited about both of them, and we're just finding our way. So I'm not going to stay too much on the Gwen track, but you will hear about this label. I love the two young CEOs. I love their ethos and their vision for what they want to do. But so
ethos.
But so
damn.
I was thinking the same
ethos.
Okay, so
he's such an artist.
Ethos
man.
and Baton threw y'all today. All right.
No, Baton threw Johnny off. Ethos got me.
No, but you didn't even think you said the
I didn't
same
even
thing.
know. I didn't even know what it was.
All
but
right,
I'm just saying.
But so here's the thing about when I was living in New York, I actually did produce a lot of records for this record label named GRP. Was Dave Grusin, who's a famous composer, Larry Rosen Productions, and they had a lot of people back in the day, like Angela Bofeld, Phyllis Hyman type, like Tom Brown, Jamaica Funk, all that. And
Jamaica Funk.
Yeah, and
that's
so
what it is.
they had a label that I used to produce a lot of what's called contemporary jazz stuff. So. A lot of that, but that is what it is, and that's another part of my life. And a lot of me not sitting, because you have to sit down to be a producer. I had a partner who I won't name, and we were producing an artist that was going to come out of Uptown when Uptown was Uptown. This was even before Bad Boys. This is when Sean was running around the halls of Uptown, and Andre Harrell was.
When he's talking about Sean, he's talking about P. Diddy.
I only know him as Sean.
Yeah.
That's how I met him. I'm gonna call you Clay. I'm gonna call you Clay.
Yeah, mama named me Clay.
So, but happy birthday to him. He just had his 50th.
Yeah,
and mine is tomorrow actually.
Oh, it's your birthday tomorrow. That's
My
right.
birthday tomorrow. So, but
nice.
Sagittarius energy. But so, and for whatever reason, the artist that we were producing never came out. I know the reason, but I'm not gonna say it right now. Mm-hmm. But so. That was stopping in between one of Whitney's tours, and so you have to kind of stop to do that. And then, if that's not happening, you got to work and pay the bills. So what was paying the bills was me being a music director, or me being a musician, or me being a composer, or so that's what I did. So I didn't stop to concentrate on that as much. But now there's some things happening that I'll go back to and revisit that. Yeah,
I can relate to a lot of it, and me and Johnny talk about this, is you go through different phases of your career. Like at some point, like I was talking to Ian Edwards at the Christmas party, and I go, what's going on? He's like, I'm just pretty much just doing stand-up. And he had a period.
Ian said that.
Yeah, and he had a period in his time where he wasn't working the road and he was just he was doing a lot of writing.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And then whatever happens in life, sometimes you got to go with the flow. And I'm blessed enough because sometimes people go, man, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? I see you, you're so funny, this and that. But sometimes things happen. You have to pay bills. So do I wish I was acting more and auditioning more and things like that? Absolutely, 100%. But because I have different skill sets, I can make money doing other things. I can work the road doing stand-up, or I can, collaborate with different comics and help them doing what they're trying to do.
But the thing is, you're surviving in this business. That's what I just said. That's what I talked about earlier. Like, this is all I've ever done. This is all I wanted to do. Yeah. And I'm able to thrive and make a living and live in a house and all. Like, that's extraordinary. Like, you may have some personal goals. There's other things I want to do. I have not reached where I want to reach. Yeah. And there's so many things that I'm working on right now that I really want to get to. And I was talking to Sully McCullough at Russell Peters' house. Yeah. And I know it sounds like I'm name dropping, but that's what this show was for. But I'm at Russell's house, and I hadn't seen Sully because he was one of the writers on Lopez. Yeah. I hadn't seen him in a minute. And his nephews, by the way, are Ray Sherman, Sway Lee and them. Exactly. So that was a whole nother conversation. But I'm talking to him, and what are you doing? And the same thing, he's doing like some stand up with Sean Wayans, and they out on the road doing things. But he's producing and writing, like he's still making it in his business. He's still working. He's still doing his thing. Yeah, people just think if they don't see you that you're not working. Right. And that's not necessary. For some people that is the case. But
and we also know comics. We personally, some comedians, I'll be like, you're like, hey man, all they want to do, like you said, the goals and some things come and you go this way. We know some comics who they said, I just want to be a stand-up. That's it.
That's it.
Right. So I go, oh, so you doing anything? No, I'm doing it, man. Yeah. I'm doing what I wanted to do when I started. Oh, you're not worried about acting? Nope. I don't give a shit about acting.
Yeah.
I don't care about auditioning.
Yo,
I'm just and some guy, and they're happy, man, because they're like, this is what I want. They're on the road, even though they're on the road. They don't care.
Yeah.
They're like, I love it, man. I just wanted to be a stand-up my whole life.
That's so beautiful
Yeah.
to me. I was in a car one time, and the driver was taking me to the airport, and he said, "Mr. Bearden, I know who you are." And I said, "You do?" And he started naming projects I worked on. I said, "Oh, thank you very much," and I was really humble.
Yeah.
And he said, "Do you know my brother?" I was like, who's your brother? And he named his brother, and his brother was a famous classical pianist. I was like, "That's your brother?"
Uh-huh.
He said, "Yeah." I said, "What is he doing now? He's not playing anymore." And I said, "Why?" He said he doesn't want to play. He was made to play and practice so much when he was a kid and all this kind of thing, and he doesn't enjoy it anymore. So I said, "What is he doing?" He's like, he took all his money, he built a garage, and he's a mechanic. He's the happiest he's ever seen him. Wow. And I was like, wow. I said, he said he's still working with his hands, but it's just with cars. Wow. And I was like, all that day, he played at Carnegie Hall, dude. He's like, "Yeah, I know who my brother is." He's like, he's happy.
I know who my brother is.
He's happy. And so if it's somebody that just like, you can't put your wishes and dreams on somebody for what they want to do.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
That's what they want to do.
Right.
That's not what you think they should do.
Yeah, I think that's what parents do a lot sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, we're programmed by what they want. I mean, I was very fortunate. My parents had no expectations whatsoever. They just literally wanted me to be able to take care of myself and be able to raise a family if that's what I needed to do. But it wasn't like, you know, you have to do this. We want you to do this. There was really no family business. It's not like they wanted me to be a preacher or a used car salesman. Like they were, you know, blue collar, you know, immigrants that came to this country. So their whole thing was, hey, if you can feed your family, you winning.
Yeah.
You know.
And I noticed you said when you were young, your father was pushing instruments. So he was a musician as well?
No, well, he has guitar that he plays. He's an artist. He's an amazing painter.
Okay.
And so, you know, he was creative, photographer and all that.
Right.
So, I mean, we used to have a
dark
room in the
Oh,
basement
how cool
with
is
the developing
that?
fluid, and like me and my brothers went in there. Dark and developing his negative
Red
like
light,
all that
yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
all that. So he was creative. I think his plan. I talked to him about this, but I think his plan was that, you know, seeing as I don't want to go into Chicago and the stuff that happens there, we all know. But so him seeing that, he wanted us to have education, but also some kind of skill, some kind of talent, some kind of something that we could see a pathway out of that. And so for me, it stuck. The music part stuck to me.
Well, I think part of it sticks because you're naturally gifted. You know, there's a God-given talent that you have. Like, I know sometimes for comedians, you know, somebody said this last night about somebody's like, either you have it or you don't. You know, you can take 1,000 classes. You can, and the only person that I've saw, but me and Johnny talked about this, that when I first seen him perform, he was awful, and then he developed into something, was Freddie Soto. Like early on, like open mics and stuff, he was horrible. But you never thought he wasn't talented.
Yeah.
You just knew he hadn't.
He just sort of, he hadn't developed. And he, at that time, back then, he didn't quite know how to put things together in his sets. He was all over the place. Well, remember that time I gave him one little, I go, hey man, you know, you might be able to want to tighten it up a little bit. And he was like, who's the band with Jerry Garcia?
Yeah, he's like, I'm like
Jerry. He goes, no, that's all right, brother. I just want to be the Grateful Dead of comedy, bro. And I go, oh, okay. But that changed.
Yes.
Because later on he tightened it up. And his sets were boom, 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 man.
And then, you know, he discovered that the father character.
Which,
that changed everything.
This is what I think too, though. Like, so for that instance, he didn't take to your advice right away, but something hit him. And
you know what probably hit him? Not being able to pay them damn
that's
bills.
What it was. That's what it
like
is.
Because he liked to just be aloof and kind of all.
What I find in music that has happened and that what has been happening is that people see instant success and they think that's what it is. So you get so many likes, you get so many, you know, comments on social media, and you think you did something until you get out in the real world. I was there's one art. I won't name the people, but I saw something, and I thought this person had so much potential. And then somebody sent me a live clip of this person doing their art. And I was so disappointed. I was really high on this person. And when I saw what they could do live in front of an audience where you don't have the ability to edit your clips and then not 60 seconds and you got to entertain paying customers. And I sat there and I watched it and I could not even take it. It was so bad. And I was just like, see, it's a lot that these kids don't know and it's a lot that they see. But, you know, some of them only want to be social media stars.
Yeah. There's a whole new, there's a whole genre.
That's
for that
a whole
now.
hustle. And that's a...
Well, I will say this, you know, piggybacking off that point, and me and Johnny have talked about this, is, you know, like you said, you know, we're all successful. Now, we might have personal goals and things that we want to achieve and haven't achieved them yet. I'm open about me not being where I want to be, but I'm grateful for where I am. But one thing that I have confidence in is when the opportunities come, which are coming, I'm prepared.
Yes.
Like, I'm not afraid if somebody goes, hey, man, you know, can you perform for an hour? Can you, you know.
We need you to go extra.
Yeah,
on
it's
this.
like, how much time you need me to do, man?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, when I do Ruby Tuesdays and comedians are late, it's like, just light me when somebody comes, dude.
Oh, man, you kill that. Listen, it's
You
just
know?
stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And that's
Absolutely.
all that is. And it's listen, the first film I ever scored was this film called Drop Squad. It was with Ving Rhames, Vondi Curtis Hall, Eric LaSalle, and Spike Lee produced it. It was for Gramercy Universal.
I remember.
And Casey Lemons was in it, like dope cast. And so I scored only like a couple documentaries and then some early infomercials before anybody knew what infomercials were. Like some friends of mine produced these infomercials in New York. It's like, man, we need music for that. So I did music for like a sandwich maker and a wok and some other shit. Like, I was like, what am I doing? So I only had done like a little bit of scoring, right? And so when it came time for this picture, the director wanted me to score it, and they gave my music to Spike, and Spike was like, I like him. And so Spike had a 3-picture deal at the time. It was Drop Squad, it was Crooklyn, and New Jersey Drive. And so Spike stuck up for me. And so when I got on the phone with Universal, they said, well, have you ever scored a feature film before? And I was like, no. And they were nervous about that. But so Spike was like, can you do this? And I told him yes.
Of course.
I said yes. And then I just panicked. I was like, how am I going to do this film? So I had access to Dave Grusin, who had scored on Golden Pond. And all. He's, you know, Oscar nominated, I think he has been. I don't know if he's probably won. Many films he's done.
What's his name again?
Dave Grusin.
Look him up.
Dave Grusin, Grusin.
Chris.
And
Dave
so,
Grusin.
And so I was able to get in a meeting with him, and you know, he kind of demystified some of the scoring process for me, and then have some talks with some other friends. And somebody who helped me a lot too was Marcus Miller, who's who scored All the House Parties and a whole bunch of stuff. And he was doing Boomerang at the time. He had just finished, and he, you know, sent me a tape. He's like, listen, man, listen to the cues. This is what you do. And so I was able to do Drop Squad. While I was on the road with Whitney, I was doing stuff, sending it back in my hotel room. Good night.
Yeah.
I go to my room and start working, getting the dailies and stuff. And this is a beautiful thing. At the premiere, Spike pulled me over and goes, man, best thing about the film is the music. I was just like, well, thank you so much. And so, you know, I sat with Spike. I had to, you know, spot it with him and score and do that. So the moral of that is, you know, I just jumped in. And you're right, I was prepared, not necessarily, but musically I knew I could handle it.
Absolutely.
I just had to get through the process of the scoring and the visuals and everything it takes to be a composer, and I was able to do it.
And so those little infomercials. And as insignificant as it might have seemed at the time.
And it was a documentary on Thurgood Marshall that really did it for me. Okay. Like, so it was more of a process of visuals, and although it was a doc, it was still visuals, music, and this is what it feels like.
So let me, out of all the things that you do and the different hats you can wear musically, is there one thing that you enjoy the most? Like you go, man, if I had to do this for the rest of my life, I'm cool with it. Like, what is
which one out of all those?
Because, you know, some people like, do you enjoy writing? Do you enjoy performing, acting, or whatever it is? That's just a hard question for me to answer.
It's a hard
personally.
question for me to answer because I love music so much and I love everything about this. One thing I will say is, so when I was paying my dues, and I still feel like I'm paying them, but when I was coming up and just really putting in the hours, being a musician and doing that hustle as far as, playing with this pop star, playing with this gig, playing with this, that doesn't excite me like it used to. So, but what does is the baton in my hand, conducting. Yeah. I love the power of that when you stand up in front of an orchestra and you just put that down and you get this back. Yeah. The instant reciprocity of that is so amazing.
You're like the master and they're your slaves.
See, I'm a so anyway. So Johnny, see, I mean, he throws these things at me, man. It's usually Johnny. I know, but I know. All right.
And I gotta somehow, I gotta dance around that.
Alonzo Bolden has a great bit about that, about why he likes hockey and why he likes golf.
Yeah.
So it's a black puck. He doesn't like that, but golf on the other hand, yeah. So
you just like the power of doing
I love, and it's something
it's instantaneous. Is that why? Because it's right.
It's right, and so I didn't grow up. I mean, I grew up liking it because Chicago Symphony is one of the most well-renowned symphonies in the world, and Sergio Scholti, who's passed away now, was the conductor, and I'm a huge fan of him. I'm actually reading his memoirs right now, and so. It was just, especially too, when you watch cartoons when I was a kid, it was Looney Tunes. And you hear bassoons and you hear all these classical things. And then when I first went to a symphony when I was a kid, and I heard it, I was like, oh, that's what makes it sound. Like, so you learn. And so I was so fascinated at 7, 8 years old that's what I wanted to do. So now that I'm doing it more consistently with Gaga every week, and then doing it, I did a symphony. So I did a symphony record with the Asheville Symphony Orchestra, and it was a bluegrass group. That's Steve Martin's band that he plays with, he plays the shit out of banjo, like the Steep Canyon Rangers, and they did a song with Boyz II Men, and I think I played it for you.
Yeah, you did. Man. That song was dope.
A lot of people, my family loves it. Like that a lot of people love the song, and we did it live in Nashville at the symphony, and I had the orchestra, and it went.
Oh, so they performed that live at the
with the orchestra and the Steep Canyon Rangers. It was a Boyz II Men concert, and the Steep came in, and they had an orchestra. Asheville came down for me, and I came and conducted, and the audience, who was a Boyz II Men audience, they went up for it. And so and I did their whole record that's coming out in 2020, and I conducted that whole record. So I'm doing more symphonic work, and I want to do more of that. I've conducted a lot of orchestras. For Michael's film, it was 80-piece orchestra at Abbey Road in London. I've done Neil Young. He did an orchestra record. It was 80-plus piece orchestra. So I've been doing a lot of orchestral work.
It must be so dope when somebody's looking for something. There's all these different categories, and Michael Bearden is in all these categories. You know what I mean? When you think about that, it's like, hey man, I'm looking for somebody who can do this.
That's Michael
Bearden. I'm looking for somebody who can do this. Oh, Michael Bearden.
There's his name again.
Yeah, there's his name again. But wait a minute, I thought he conducted. Yeah, he does that. Well, he does.
And
this
what's
too.
What's so wild about that is because a lot of people don't know you do it because they only know you for one thing. Aren't you that pop music director guy? Yeah. That's that. So somebody recently who actually listened to this show, they listened to episode 28.
Yes.
And they heard it. And they were just like, I heard this show that you were on. They were doing some research on me. It's a director who's doing something that I won't mention because we're still talking about it. And so they told the person that told them about me, they were just like, after I left and I had a meeting with them, they were just like, oh, he's a unicorn, huh? They were just like, oh, he's that dude?
Yeah.
He's like, they were highly impressed, and from what I hear, and we're still talking. But the thing about that is, and you and I talk about this, I could probably be a better, I'm not good at being a salesman for myself.
Oh, man.
Because
you're talking to two of the same guys.
And I hate is a strong word, but I don't like that dude, and I don't like that woman.
But we live in a time now, though, where
you have to.
It's almost like you have to.
And
it's difficult. And if you, it's my own personal advice, but if you're not the type of person that's going to be constantly bragging about yourself or putting yourself, maybe it's not bragging, but you know what I'm saying, like promoting yourself.
No, you have to promote. You have to look at it that way.
But if that's not your personality, you got to have a team that does that for you. You know what I mean? Take that responsibility away from you to really promote and push you.
I got to tell him, just to stay on that, last week we were going to promote his album coming out. And we were talking for a while, and then I'm like, hey, man, don't you have something you want to share? And he's like, all right, man, listen, everybody.
God.
He didn't even want to.
The record is so good, though.
You know, he didn't want to play
That's
his
a
album.
great record. I was going to start telling the jokes, but I can't. I got to go hear the record, but it's so dope, man. Like,
well, the feedback.
But I get it, because
we talk about it, man. I mean, the feedback has been great. And, the one thing that I wanted, the feel of the album, which is out on iTunes, Google Play, and anywhere you can get Spotify.
And where else?
And it's called where?
It's called
what?
Laughter Knows No Color.
With Ruben Paul.
By
Like a
Ruben
big
Paul.
sunny cover with all this.
Well, you know, I got that from, I stole that from that John Lennon. There's a photo of John Lennon where has all these.
And what's that?
colors.
What was that photo for? Is it
I
just
wanna say
on its
Andy-
own, or was it an album, a solo? It's not a solo
I think
album.
Warhol did that photo. I'm not positive.
Something like that.
But
yeah.
When I was working with
They
the
used
editor,
to hang out, so it's possible.
Yeah, so when I was talking to the editor, he was like, we're going back and forth. He was like, what do you want to name the album? And he just said, man, you just have this real universal appeal to your comedy. And he goes, because there's a part in it where I make fun of actually the editor and his girlfriend, Cherie, that part where the interracial couple that's in the audience, that's actually my editor and his girlfriend.
Okay.
And then he actually came up with the title, and then Johnny is great with coming up with ideas, titles. Like, he's excellent at that stuff. So we're just kind of going back and forth, and then I just did like a little Google of just typing the word colors and different thing, and stumbled upon this photo, and I was like, wow, that'd be great to just be all encompassing of all these different
That's perfect.
colors,
And it's perfect for you. The title is what you are and what you do at Ruby Tuesdays and what you do around the world.
Yeah, man, because I think, dude, to be in this game, and we're talking about, like, for you, music is music. Like, everybody tries to put you in a box musically. Like, tries to put music in a box.
Yeah.
And you can play it all. And comedically, me and Johnny have always been comedians that can play any room. If I hang my hat on anything, is literally I can perform in any type of room and be able to come out and make those people laugh. Now, at what level, that's each. I have nothing to do with that. But I know I can execute and find something relatable, whether I'm in Europe or in Asia or I'm in South Central.
And now you got that from traveling around the world and being exposed to
absolutely,
to
man.
No shortcuts.
No shortcuts.
No,
man.
there's no cutting no 5 years.
I can use some shortcuts now, man. I'm gonna keep it 100.
No, well, I mean, I think what you could use now is the same thing I could use now is attention. That's the biggest commodity going into any business. No matter the success that I have right now, you still need, the meetings that I've just had and the people have just discovered me, and then they could Google me and see all the 700 plus artists.
You've done so much, man.
It's a lot, and
played with so many people.
It's a lot. It's a lot, and so right now I just need more people to know.
But you know what's funny, and you're probably the same way, and I'm the same, and Johnny also. I could promote the hell out of you, dude.
Right.
Like, I could promote the hell out of Johnny, but when it comes to myself, it's awkward. Like, dude, I remember, you probably don't even remember this. I remember I was looking for an agent, and Johnny wrote an email for me to this agent. I'm reading this going, damn, is he talking about me? Like, wow.
Who is this dude?
Yeah.
Who is this dude?
But it's just, when you believe
easy.
in people and you see their talent, it's very easy for me to praise you.
The other thing, you're right about that, and thank you for doing that for him, Johnny. But the other thing is, where you're not.
Yeah. That's a good point.
And so I did a thing with a Music Cares event, which is associated with the Grammys, and we were honoring Bruce Springsteen one year, and I talked to Bruce afterwards, him and his wife, and
I would love to meet Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, he's amazing. He's amazing.
He just seems like a normal
because he's a normal dude. Dude, he came. I never seen this. He's a superstar, and he came to Soundcheck, and at the end he was drenched like we did a show. I'm like, dude, this is Soundcheck. This is Bruce Springsteen. Like, but he gives like that.
Yeah.
So, but I was talking to him, and he said something so interesting to me, and I was like, "How does this feel to you? Honored, and all these superstars came out on this tribute. You can actually see it. It's online somewhere. I forget what it's called. Bruce Springsteen something Music Cares, but it's a tribute to Bruce. All these stars on it, and you can see me playing and stuff.
Sounds great.
So it's amazing. And so he goes, you know what, Michael? After 40 years, I still feel like I didn't make it. I haven't made it yet. And I'm looking at him like, you know who you are, right? You're Bruce Springsteen. But I guess what he meant was like, you know, he's still going towards what he feels. But a lot of people still got to catch up to what he's done already. You know, my girl Gaga's a huge Bruce Springsteen fan. She loves him. So
he's amazing, man.
And so, yeah.
Like you said earlier, remember, like if you reach that goal, then
you
stop.
Then you stop.
So he's still going because he's still, in his mind, he's still the same guy that started.
Absolutely.
When he started, the young dude that was working to do that.
What do they call the Bruce Springsteen? You know, people who follow the Grateful Dead, they call them like Deadheads or whatever.
Yeah, Deadheads.
But what? There's a name of.
Is there? I didn't know if there was. A name for that.
They follow
because hers are little monsters.
Yes.
So
Lady
Bruce
Gaga.
has. I have a friend, man. He's probably seen Bruce Springsteen.
I don't know what his fandom is called.
Over 40. He's traveled.
Springsters?
I don't know. Well, I don't know.
Maybe somebody knows. Maybe somebody can tell us.
Because he gives, like, he's on stage 3-4 hours sometimes.
Yeah,
like
he
gives.
He's just, and he's, you know, he's my boy. He's well-to-do. He's wealthy. He just loves Bruce Springsteen.
But to me, that's
just follows
but
him,
that's
you know?
amazing to me.
Yeah.
That's why you do it. You know, and like Quincy says, and I take this advice. Like, you know, I asked him one time what was a hit record. He said, I don't know. I was like, what do you mean? He said, listen, 9 times out of 10 that, you know,
I see.
If all of us, you know, in the room when I get goosebumps, he says 9 times out of 10 somebody outside this recording room is going to get them. And, you know, he's not one that sits and listens to himself and go, oh, I did through. Like, anytime I get a chance to see him, and talk to him, he's telling me he's 85 now, I think 86.
Who?
Quincy. And he's telling me about, yo, you see this new app? I'm just like he's always moving. Herbie Hancock is the same way. I count as one of my mentors. And he's the same way.
I'm glad you brought up Quincy because when I think, you know, that's who I compare you to.
Thank you.
Are there you being able to know him and have a relationship with him, are there things that I'm sure they are, it's not an if question. What are some of the things that he's imparted to you that still resonates with you today, that still helps you navigate through this business, that inspired you?
Well, I'm not unique. Quincy, like once you're a musician and he's worked with you, he kind of brings everybody under the fold. There's definitely more musicians that are closer to Quincy than I am, but I've known Quincy for a long time. I've done things with him and the great Phil Ramone, who's a producer who produced Billy Joel and so many. We did a Liza Minnelli record together. Like there's so many things that Phil did. So I did some things with Quincy earlier on in my career. But what he's imparted to me is how I live now. It's just that music is music. It's either good or it's not.
That's what you told me.
Either it resonates with people or it doesn't. Yeah. But he always. You know, he even talks about it now. I remember being at his house once, and he was talking to a rapper, and Quincy's not shy. Like he went right in to do, y'all gotta put some more music in it. Like he was just, so he's old school in that way, and so we just talk about the thing that he imparts with me is just tell the truth, just tell your truth, and just be.
Same in comedy too, man.
I mean, and he's right. I just embrace all kinds of music, and he embraces the world, and they love him. The thing I love about Quincy, you go to his house, it looks like a museum, like all the 28, 30 Grammys, whatever it is, and you know he's got the director's chair from Color Purple with his name on it, you know, and then signed copies of We Are the World from everybody that sang. I mean,
the story about Will Smith and you know,
that's
making him audition at the house in the living room, like
but he sees something in people, and he goes. So he saw something in me at an early age, and told me a pathway to follow, which I still follow. But the thing I love about Quincy is not all of that. I love the people that know him, revere him.
Mm-hmm.
They love him. Like when he gets up and says something, like they swear. Like I had lunch with Clarence Avant a few months ago.
I remember you telling
they
me.
are really close friends, but they love each other. That's what I'm impressed with most.
Yeah.
Besides all the hardware and all the things that he's done, is the fact that his humanity is so revered and his humanity is so respected, and he's put that out in the world and it's spread. Then now it's come back to him.
And like we've talked about this or said this on the show before, it's like every day you live, you're writing your own eulogy. Like, what are people going to say about you when it's all said and done? And it seems like Quincy is somebody who realized that it's more than just playing music or being famous or being, a millionaire. He's, in part, like you said, he brings everybody in. He passes on that knowledge.
That's
so,
right.
Like you said, people revere his humanity and who he is. And to me, that's bigger than the Grammys or anything else. Like, listen to what you said. He's like, man, aside from all that, what I really love about him is this. And I think that's why he's so great and he's had the longevity because it's bigger than just.
And that's how, MJ said to me one day when we were talking, and he's like, you know how you live forever? I was like, no, how you live forever, MJ? He said, through your music, through your art. And then we talked some more about that, but he was right. And that's the same thing that's happening with Quincy. But Quincy is that kind of dude, too, though. Mm-hmm. I'm the opposite of that kind of dude. I'm real quiet, and I'm real introverted. And I was reading this book called Quiet by Susan Cain, and it really shed a light on a lot about me. I learned about being an introvert. You can still be an introvert, but yet I'm still a leader in front of people with my
I feel
baton.
like I'm a bit of an introvert.
And so when you're intro, and then a lot of people mistake that for something else too.
Sometimes they mistake it for lack of confidence.
Well, not only that, lack of confidence, but lack
of personality. Or,
yes. So it's more like, well, who does he think he is? Like it's more that kind of thing too. And so then they conjure up this thing about you in their head.
It's like, no, dude, I'm just shy.
My mom could tell you the stories. I was so quiet as a kid. So music was also my escape from that and my Linus blanket to the world, if you will. And it was my confidence. So if I had a piano in front of me, I felt this kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
When I didn't.
Yeah.
I felt this kind of way. So, that's a lot of reasons why I became successful too, because I just wanted to keep the confident feeling that I had through the music. So Quincy was able to do that. I hope, in writing your own eulogy, people think, but I just like to let the work speak for itself. So if you can look at the body of work that I've done and you feel some type of way and it's really good and you're in your feelings, then I feel like I've accomplished something. And a lot of people who follow me and a lot of people who I meet on the street, which is always funny, it's like, I love your IG page, or I love that. Mm-hmm. They actually tell me, I met somebody, we did the Apollo with Gaga this summer, and I was standing outside because it was hot in the Apollo. It was hot in there. And then I went, and some of the fans were there about a barricade, and I was talking, and this older man came with his wife and his son, and they were telling me, you posted something on such and such a day, and I just want to tell you that moved me, and it did this, and he was sincere, and I looked at his son, he was just like, yep, he talks about that all the time. I was just like, see, social media is not just about likes, and it's not just about that. Like, actually, some of the stuff you posted is inspiring people, moving people, motivating people, and getting them to get up and see that you can do it, and that's what I'm about.
And that's important, man, because a lot of people are buying into things that aren't even real. It's like you're feeling horrible about yourself and how you look, and you don't even realize what you're watching is photoshopped and this and that.
It's
and
a
all
whole
these
curated,
things.
controlled environment experience. That's not even real to the people that you're looking at.
And you said something earlier, and I was talking to my buddy Gerard. Shout out Gerard Guillory. When just as performers, I had like a mediocre set last. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And I've been doing comedy over 20 years, and it bothered me. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't wait to do another set.
You're only as good as your last set, right?
Yeah, dude.
Man,
and I was just kind of, and he was just laughing. I was like, dude, I can't believe I'm annoyed. He's like, I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight.
Man, but don't ever lose that.
Because I knew, and when you get to our level, when you, like, we're in so much control, sometimes you can know exactly where you went wrong. what you did wrong. And it's one of those things like, man, why did I do this? Why I knew I shouldn't have talked to that guy. I should have just went in and did this. Why did I open with that joke? I knew I shouldn't have opened with that joke, but I did it anyway. You do all these
listen
things.
to your gut, your instincts.
Yeah. And then you go the next day. But I just think those things are still important.
Yeah.
Because you want to be at your best at all. You just want to.
But that's the universe telling you that you actually really still care about this.
I love it, man.
And so I've done that on many times, even when I wasn't conducting, when I was just playing in the Oscars, and I miss a cue or something. I literally don't even want to go to the after party because I'm so embarrassed. But it's a mediocre set for you, but it's not for the other people. I'll tell a quick story. I don't know if I told this on episode 28. If I did. I just know this is 28.
Yeah.
So MJ and I were talking one day, and we were talking about.
When he says MJ, he means Michael Jackson.
And so we would.
I mean, I gotta let him know, man. Because there's a lot of MJs.
Yes.
But this is
the
MJ.
Well, and it's funny because Michael Jordan is the same. Yeah. But anyway, this is Michael Jackson, and so we were talking, and I don't know how we got on the subject of Japan, and I said, "Oh yeah, I was in Japan one time when you were working at the Tokyo Dome, and some of my friends were working with him at the time, so I was hanging out with them, and I didn't go to the show, but I was there." And so he's like, "Oh, wait, did you go to the show?" I was like, "No, I didn't go to the show." He said, "You know, I have a secret about that show." And I was like, "What?" He said, "I didn't like it." So what you mean you like it? He said, I didn't think I did well. So you know what I did? I said, "What'd you do?" He said, "I went back to my hotel room and I redid the whole show in my room." I said, "What do you mean you redid the whole show?" He said, "I danced the whole show in the mirror because I didn't feel good about my performance. So I redid the whole show in my hotel room by myself." And I just sat and looked at that dude just like, say.
And that's why he's Michael Jackson.
And that's why you're great. That's why you're great. I think after his first three-peat, MJ took a whole summer off to shoot free. Something he did in the run he didn't like, so he took a whole summer to perfect that. Like, you could have these, like you said something earlier about people, you either have it or they don't. Mm-hmm. Some people have it, they just don't know where to put it, how to put it together.
Absolutely.
But a lot of people don't do the work to keep it. Like, a lot of these people are great because they work. A lot of people are great because they practice, and they still do.
Steve Young was telling a story about Jerry Rice after they had just won the Super Bowl. Like that Monday or Tuesday, they were coming to clean out their lockers or whatever. He came to clean out his lockers, and he looks on the practice field, and it's Jerry Rice running routes by himself on the practice field just after they won the Super Bowl.
And
when you think of that, like shit like that can, like, it almost, that level of dedication and passion for what you do. And that's what I always try to remind myself of, because when you deal with a lot of loss or frustration, sometimes it starts to, we've seen it in other comics, and we see people become bitter and they lose their passion for what we're blessed.
But you know what that is to me is they didn't have a passion in the first place.
You think so?
Well, because to me, if you lose your passion, listen, I don't know if I'll ever lose my passion for music. And to me, that's ego saying that you should be somewhere where you're not right now because somebody else has something. Because they have something, I should get that. They're not that talented. How he get that role? She can't sing. Like that. There's all of that.
Yeah.
And something
you
else
do gotta shut that off,
it's preparing you for something else anyway. So my thing is, if I don't get something I don't get, I wasn't supposed to have it. That's not going to diminish my passion for what it is. I'll just work harder to do something else, and then something else is going to happen. And so that's where I am with it. So to me,
but see, you're healthy and you have clear perspective, and I think that's what people lack. They start comparing themselves to other people. And I just think your journey is your journey. What's meant for you is meant for you, as long as you keep working and not get lazy. But if you're putting forth the effort, like sometimes you've heard people go, "Ah, man, why am I putting forth this effort, man? Nothing's going to happen anyway, man. Why am I busting my ass, man? I'm this old now," or whatever, and it's like, I don't look at it like at all. I think art is art, and it's always alive, and you can always create new things. You can, you could always sit down and write. We have the ability to go and perform. When we were talking earlier, like, what's that one thing that you love the most? Like, I asked you that question. For me, just just thinking right now is there's nothing like having a thought and then going to the comedy club and saying it out loud and then everybody laughing.
Yeah.
It works. There's just something like, oh, man, I thought about this. I believed it was funny. I know it's funny. I'm going to go deliver it, and then you get the laughs.
Yeah.
You know, that's something that I don't know any other, like, instantaneous feedback.
Oh, no, that...
you know what I mean? Not even music gives you that immediate feedback like comedy does. Because comedy is, you know, either they laugh or they don't laugh. And you know immediately. Punchline...
something or nothing.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's one of those things that when a joke works, man, it's just a feeling that you get. And I see comics who have lost that, and it becomes, like you said, about what they don't have, where they feel like they should have been, and it's about respecting your journey, doing the work, and understanding if you just keep working and stay true to yourself.
It's that, but also, like, so how do you ward off this? Because I just read something interesting. I saw a couple things interesting yesterday. I saw Mark Curry upset that he said Steve Harvey stole some jokes.
Yeah.
And then I was reading this thing in Emmy magazine, part of the TV Academy, where the first really, really popular female comedian, her name was Jean Carroll, I think her name is. And she said, I thought this was so interesting. She said that she had her jokes. This is in the 50s, so and so it was a whole lot of things that she was going through, and we're not gonna go on with that broad and like all that kind of thing. And so she said Alan King stole some of her jokes, and so she happened to be on a bill, a private thing, I think, that he was on. She insisted that she go first, and she went on and did his act word for word all the way through. Then she says to the audience, did you like that act? It was the next guy who's coming on. It was his act word for word. Maybe that'll teach him not to steal jokes.
Wow.
And he never went on.
Wow.
And so I was like, she was bold. In fact, so how, as a comedian, like, so there's things in music that people can steal, but the way I look at it is like, I can show you the tools I use. I can give them to you. Matter of fact, I can loan you mine.
Yeah. But you can't do it like me.
You can't do it like me.
Yeah.
So how do you guys deal with that kind of thing?
Well, me and John, first of all, there's been plenty of comedians, successful comedians, that have stolen jokes from both Johnny and myself. But I think for me, and I think Johnny would agree with it, I think the more personal I got in my life, talking about the things that I go through, that my family went through, it's hard to steal that because it's so,
specific.
So specific. You know what I mean? Like, there's other Haitian comedians, but there's not really any with born and raised in LA, parents were missionaries, father was a used car salesman, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean? Grew up in Carson. Like, as specific as I can be, what's the word? Specificity? Specificity is always key, I think, in any art. Whether it's acting, whether it's comedy, whether it's music, the more specific and clean you can be and connected to your truth, it's just really hard to steal that. Right. When you do observational stuff,
observational,
then
you're going to talk about social media and stuff. Then someone else is going to have something similar.
Yeah, if I talk about Trump, there's comedians that can come up with a version of a Trump joke, but as more personal as I can get and tell everybody whatever jokes through Ruben Paul's lens, it's hard. But I guess really answer your question, how do you deal with somebody stealing material? Sometimes there's really nothing you can do with you gonna smack a motherfucker in the mouth. You know
how
what I mean?
many fights have we been in already?
Yeah.
And then it's almost, I almost feel like it's almost like in sport, like in football, the guy that hits last is the one that gets flagged, right?
Yes.
And then he gets the penalty, or he gets ejected.
Yeah.
Not the guy that instigated it. So I always I don't know if you felt this way. I always felt this way. Like, someone starts saying, then you kind of go after that guy, and then it's like, hey, did you hear him, Johnny, man? He's got a temper. He's looking to fight so.
But here's the thing, and you kind of just said it, Mike. Like, I can give you the tools, but you can't play it like I play it. Mm-hmm. But my thing is this: there's been successful comedians that have stolen material, but at some point, you're going to be called upon to create it in the moment.
That's right.
And when you're not able to create it, then you're going to be exposed.
And that's the only reason I brought up that whole thing, because we were talking about journey. And sometimes people, you're further along in your path and people see you and they go, well, how did he get way up there? How did she get way up there? I'm going to take that and see if I can slingshot my way.
Oh, I've seen it.
Past that. But you're right. At some point, the fuel runs out because it's not yours. It didn't come from you.
It didn't come from you.
And so, like,
you make all that money. You know, you can't fool everybody.
You can't.
And you can make millions and millions of dollars and be successful. But when you're in a room, it's just like when you're in a room and you realize, like, oh, he can't write a joke.
Right.
Oh my God.
Right. And we know.
Yeah,
the
like,
guys that have been through that.
This dude can't write. No,
he has no creativity.
Yes.
Yeah. Back to the singing.
Oh.
Somebody has a huge album and then it's time to sing live. You're in rehearsals. I'm sure you're like, yo.
Oh, I have so many.
Is this
stories.
the chick with the hit record that can't
a lot of
carry a
people
tune?
who follow me have been on me about writing this book, because when I post things, I tell little stories and everybody wants this book.
You got to write the book.
So I do have to write the book. I'm writing it. It's a process. Everybody knows. But I wanted to come from me and the way I speak, and I was just trying to remember all this stuff. Like it's so many things, but. Some of the stuff I'll put in the book, but it's not going to be a tell-all, salacious, that kind of. I'm not that dude, and I'll be that dude at 80 something, maybe. Then I'll tell some things, but you're right. Like, is a lot of this time these people, I can't wait to work with them, and they have these titles, and then I get in the room and I'm like, let's go with this, and they don't have the ability, and I just go.
Wow.
How did you? Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So a lot of what people see in your audience and mine as well is just like, it ain't what you think it is.
Yeah.
A lot of this is smoke and mirrors, man. Like, a lot of these people didn't earn their way up. Now, there are a lot that did.
Yeah.
And some of them are maybe not as famous as you think, but that doesn't mean they're less successful.
Absolutely.
That's right.
It's relative, man.
It's all relative.
Yeah, it's all relative. But just really understanding that process of knowing you have the skill. Like, why am I worried? I can't remember what comic told me this. When he was like, just write another joke.
Oh, about the
Yeah.
He and I have had conversations because we
can write other jokes.
Well,
man.
The end of the Mark Curry thing that I said, he was just like, they was talking about people filming, and he said, like, dude, just be good.
Yeah.
You can't stop it. Just be good.
You can't stop it.
Just
you keep working. You keep showing up.
But hey, Ruben, so we've had numerous phone conversations where, hey man, I gotta tell you, man, last night so and so did your thing, whatever. And we get frustrated. And then he or I, if he's telling me or I'm telling him, we go. I'll just write some more shit then.
Yeah.
I'll just add something else on my own, and
one of my favorite stories about this might have been a year ago. Johnny knows about this. I did a set and I get off stage, and a buddy of mine was there, and he had some friends with him and everything. So I think we might have went and had a drink or whatever. So he calls me later on that night. He's like, "Hey man, such and such was doing your joke." And I go, "Really? How do you know?" And he goes, "The girls told me." And I go, "Really?" And go, "Yeah, but they knew as soon as you did it that the guy stole it from you."
Right.
They just knew instantaneously. Like they knew, like, oh, that's the original right there. That other guy, because they thought, first is like, oh, he stole that joke from the other comedian. But they go, but you know what? After listening to, I could tell he's the one who wrote the joke. Right. And that's happened a couple of times in my career. One time doing a gig in Alaska with Genuine, this dude who had booked me on this gig, he's thinking, when the hell is Ruben ever going to go to Alaska? You know what I mean? And he was doing my shit in Alaska. And I get off stage and the guy goes, "Hey man, such and such is doing your material." Like truth has its own ring, man.
We say the same thing happened to me years back. This is probably about 12 years ago, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I was at or maybe not that long ago, but anyway. And I get to, for some reason, it was always about 2-3 weeks after this comic. We don't, but he was known for this. It's all he's known for, by the way. He's made millions. That's all he's known for.
Yeah.
And I was doing, it was the half black thing.
Yes.
So I did it the first night, and the manager came over and goes, "Hey man, so-and-so's doing your same thing." hey, did you know so and so's doing that?
They know.
They do.
They
He's
know,
doing
man.
they knew already.
Yeah.
There was no way that it was the other way around. So.
Yeah, that's the beauty of what you just said. Both of you just said. When the truth shows up, people know.
People know, man.
Know. People know when the truth shows up.
People. We got to end. People know when the truth shows up,
people
man.
know when the truth shows up. There's been a couple things that have happened recently in my career, and I'm not at liberty to talk about. But
I know, man.
But and I know we got to go. But all I will say is, when I was able to tell the person, this is how it should be done, and then demonstrate it, and to see it work.
Yeah.
The result was the truth showed up.
The truth showed up. Yeah. Because you're doing something in the moment that a lot of people can't do. And it's just always fascinating to me. Like, you can cheat and try to get ahead, but sooner or later.
But it's just doing all these steps. You're talking about Alaska and all these clubs that we've done.
Yeah.
All these situations.
Bar shows.
We talked about coming up. I don't have to go back. I mean, I played in Texas in front of chicken wire, behind chicken wire, usually like the Blues Brothers movie. Literally have done that. Like, it's so many different situations. I'm laughing at it, just going back in my head, just sleeping on top of my keyboards in the van after I set them up and took them down, and the roadies are driving us to the next town, which is from Detroit to somewhere else that's nowhere near Detroit.
Well, it's like great athletes. It's the same thing when, they go, man, how come, were you nervous when you got to the free throw line or in this moment? He goes, well, I've practiced this so many times. It's just a reflex now. They're prepared for that moment. It's just about flawless execution.
Yeah, I read something the other day. It said, don't practice till you get it right. Practice till you can't get it wrong.
Yes. My pastor used to say, people say practice makes perfect. She says perfect practice makes perfect.
That's absolutely true.
You know what I mean? Perfect practice makes perfect.
That's absolutely true. Some people practice mistakes.
Whew. And I know you see that a lot of times as a musician, man.
Oh, he's alive.
I know you see that a lot. But
by the way, real quick, I know we got
no.
People are loving it. Nobody wants him to go anyway. But you know what you were talking earlier about? Either you got it or you don't, right?
Yeah.
So we ended up
leave Chris out of this, man. Chris, we love you, dude.
But we ended up doing this, right? I mean, I know you were a sports guy. I was, but that came naturally for us, right?
Yeah.
But it's funny when you said that. I immediately thought, in sixth grade, my dad, his favorite instrument's the saxophone.
Okay.
So he wanted me to play the saxophone. So he goes and buys not the alto, but he got the tenor.
Oh, okay. You're what, 4'3", holding this big?
4'3". I was lucky to be 4'3" in sixth grade. So I'm lugging this thing, dude, and I sort of enjoyed it, but it wasn't something that I loved. But I was not good, right? So we stopped. I stopped that.
Right.
Years later. When I moved to LA, I had my friends were in a band. I lived with some guys in the band, and I was like, you know what, man? I think I'm gonna start learning how to play guitar because we'd have parties and they'd start strumming and girls would come around.
Right.
Tried it, dude. Couldn't do the guitar. Then one of my friends later, the other musician goes, you know what, John? How about bass? Like, it might be a little bit easier. Why don't you just try bass? So, dude, no patience. At my last resort, I was like, you know what? Because I love seeing people jam on the harmonica. Yeah. I said, you know what? It's $5, $10. I'm gonna learn the harmonica.
That's one of the hardest instruments.
Dude,
can you play the harmonica?
I have two in my house: a chromatic one and just some diatonic ones. And I have more than two, but no. I mean, I can get around and get on cool things, but then I hung out with Stevie once at the NAMM show, this big musician convention, and we just playing it, and some of this is on YouTube. You could search it and see me and Stevie playing. But he goes to this one harmonica thing. He just picks it up and he just starts So a lot of my friends, like Marcus Miller told me, he was like, man, because he's so proficient. Like, he plays bass clarinet. He's great composer. He plays the shit out of bass. He's like one of the architects of modern bass. And he's like, man, I just try to pick up the harmonica. He's like, since you're a musician, you feel like you should be able to do it because you already know the basics and theories and everything. Shit.
Did you ever get it, Johnny?
I got one, and but
did you ever get good at it?
I learned to play lowrider on it.
hilarious.
How about that?
Dun, 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 dun,
Dun, dun, dun, dun.
That's it.
Dun, dun, dun. That was it, dude. So again,
Just thinking about that sounds horrible.
lowrider on harmonica.
I'm gonna bring some harmonicas next time.
Oh, right. This has been years. This is like 20, 15,
Oh,
18 years ago.
we'll sound horrible together.
But my point being, it's like either you've got it sometimes for something, for certain things, man. And his thing was it's been music and creativity. And
when the person said either you have it or you don't, I knew exactly what they meant. And I gave the Freddie Soto example, but he did have talent. You could see that he had talent. But there are people who literally work and become good at something.
Yeah.
Like they weren't natural. Well,
they weren't natural at it. It took them longer, right? Yeah.
No, like listen, there's a young man that I mentor. I've been mentoring him since he was 7. He's from Southside Chicago. He's now 15 or so. He's played at Carnegie Hall twice already. He came out the womb with it. Like he knows, and his mom called me. She said, I got this kid. I don't know what. Can you just listen to him play? Play for Michael. And he was playing Franz Liszt.
And didn't you surprise him? You flew out and
I flew out
him?
and surprised him in Carnegie Hall and watched him play. And, he just has it. Like he's one of those kids that just came.
Now,
out.
what's his name?
His name is Joshua Moon, and
Joshua Moon. Great name too, right?
Oh no, he's an amazing kid. He goes to the same high school that I went to. Me and Michelle Obama, and Michelle Robinson at the time. And so he's at that high school now, Whitney Young in Chicago. But he's still working. He's still practicing. He's still doing his thing. And so I just been kind of looking after him and making sure he's staying on the path, making sure he still loves it and he's enjoying it and that kind of thing. That kid has it's a few other kids that I work with that I mentor who just have it. Yeah, they just have it. Then there's some that just have to work at it.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean that they can't be great.
No, it doesn't mean that they can't be great. But even the grace, as I said, still that's why when you had your mediocre performance, you felt that way. That's why Michael went and did his free throws. That's where MJ went and stayed in the mirror and danced the whole show over. It still amazes me.
Yeah, it was weird. I couldn't sleep, man. And me and Johnny talked about.
We just had. So I didn't even tell you about last Thursday at my set when the party in the front. in the Long Beach.
Yeah, you took off afterwards. What happened?
Were you there? No, you weren't on that. You weren't on
that show.
No,
okay,
no. And I knew immediately. I could spot the one girl that every joke she was turning and talking to the friends. I said, "Oh man, hopefully." I was hoping Dwayne Perkins would be late so I could go up first because I said, "I know what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. The alcohol's going to kick into them. They already probably were buzzed. But the alcohol is going to kick in when I get up there." Sure enough, he does his thing. You could tell he could see him, but he didn't want to. And they're right there in front of it. And I go up and I'm avoiding, but I could only do it for so long, man. And she starts talking to me and we go, and finally I just had to shut it down. I had to go, look, man, either you're going to shut up or they're going to take it. Then the manager's, Katrina's waiting, right? And I start to go, and what does she do, dude? Once I go, do you understand the situation here? Like, you're going to go, and then the audience starts clapping because they're sick of them too. Like, they want you guys to go. So can you just not talk, you guys? Just like, and then they're like this, right? I start going back, not more than a minute or two, Ruben. They start turning it, and I just stop and go, all right, that's it. So they all got up, and they left, and Chris Newberg was last. So she had already gone through talking through three comments, and I go, well, I'm okay with biting a bullet on that moment because at least he could have a show that went better for him. Mm-hmm. But same thing, dude. I could not get that set out of my head. It just drove me crazy. And I tried to avoid her. Mm-hmm. I tried my best, but when they're right there in front, after a while, it just.
So here's my question to you, and was there anything that you would have done differently?
I probably should have not even acknowledged I was talking to another guy who's Italian, and that went great, and that dude was cool, and I do a little Italian guy, and he gives me his name, and it's so Italian, and I'm having fun. Everybody's like, and then the laughs stop, and I'm getting ready to make a transition, and then she's like, "I'm Italian too."
Oh my god!
So then now I'm thinking, do I just I don't even acknowledge it. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's all right. I don't need to know. No, I am. I'm just saying I'm going to. And then went on, and then I had to get out of it. So I did try not to engage, but there was a quiet moment there where she yells it out, and then it's almost like.
Yeah. See, when stuff like that happens, I can let it. Here's a question I asked myself.
No, but okay.
Where I go, Ruben, is there anything you could have done differently to make that set go better?
Right.
And if the answer is yes, then that's when I'm tormented by it. But sometimes there's situations like, hey, man, I would have done the same thing 10 out of 10 times.
No, because when I thought about it afterwards, I should have just literally went, not you, not talking to you. You know what I mean? I probably should have just done that.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Really, in hindsight,
Gotcha.
So.
Yeah, but to me, that's not really your fault.
Yeah.
Well, you know how I feel about those people sitting in the front on that.
I know, but you get in your head about that stuff, man.
They're right on the stage.
But sometimes you work yourself up even before you get on stage,
oh yeah,
man.
Whenever I dislike a crowd before I get up there.
It's like, I don't know, dude. I don't like them, man.
I don't like them.
I don't like them. I don't like them already, Ruben. See? Did you hear that?
Well,
Did you hear
you
that?
see, you made that happen.
Yes.
You fulfilled.
You
don't
manifested
you
it.
feel it?
You manifested it. You manifested it.
You know what? I will say, I know, because I kept saying the alcohol's going to kick in as soon as I get up there.
And then he goes, I told you, but yeah, Johnny, you created the situation in your head before you went up there.
But here's a second point to that. If those people with large groups not sitting literally on the stage, around the stage, we're not talking about at tables. The chairs are they're leaning up on the stage, looking up. If those people aren't seated there like that, big groups, when they come partying, a lot of that wouldn't happen ever.
That's true, but it is what me and you go back and forth.
You know what? He's for it. I'm against having people sit there unless the place is completely packed.
How was Dwayne? Was that Dwayne from Chicago?
Yeah, Dwayne
Perkins.
No, he's from New York. You're talking about the other. There's another Dwayne Perkins. Did you know that?
Does he spell it with a D-E, Wayne?
I think so.
You know what happened? No wonder he wrote that on Twitter.
Yeah.
They put our photo and they put whatever everybody's handles, and then Dwayne Perkins, DWAYNE, he put wrong person. And I was like, what's he talking about? It's his photo on there. And then eventually I noticed it was Dwayne Perkins. And I clicked on that guy. And is he a stand-up?
He's a stand-up. He's a stand-up and a writer.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's what happened. No wonder.
Yeah.
All right.
But Mike.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate you,
this was fun,
Shoot,
man.
It's always.
Well, we
I drove on
the
the 405 to get here.
I know, man. I mean, and here's the thing. Like, Michael's one of these guests, like, literally every time he's on the show, because I'm going to make him come back again, he has so many life's experiences. We're just skimming the surface.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about a lot of the people that he's worked with and just different philosophies. We didn't talk about a lot of you touched on it the last time you hear about all the unreleased Michael Jackson material that's out there that no one's ever heard. And I know, but that shocked me when you told me that, because when we think of unreleased material, I automatically go to Prince, because Prince is known for
you know what I
mean, like constantly recording music.
Yeah.
So I'm even fascinated of the prospect of there being tons of Michael Jackson music out there recorded.
Did we even talk about Prince?
No, we haven't even talked about Prince.
We've actually not talked, because
we got to have you back to talk about Prince.
That should be the one on the. That should be the next
that'll
one.
Be
because that's a whole nother.
Yeah,
that's a whole nother thing. But I was, growing up, it was either you're an MJ guy or a Prince guy.
They loved each other. Just letting y'all know.
Yeah, I know, and we talked about that.
Yeah,
and I like both of them. You know what I mean? I wasn't the one that really, but Michael Jackson was my favorite.
No, I mean, and I know we got to go, but real quick, some people like Prince, some people don't. Some people like MG, some people don't. Some people like Willie Nelson, some people don't. Some people like Bob Dylan. And the thing about it is, they're all right. Yeah. Whatever resonates with you, there's no wrong answer. Now, I don't want to hang out with these people.
You don't like them, we can't be friends.
No, but I mean, it's no wrong. Like, if it doesn't resonate with you, it doesn't. But
And real quick, thank you, dude, for doing the show. And I just want to give a shout out. We did the last Ruby Tuesdays of 2019 last night. So I just want to give a shout out to Adam Carolla, who was
Adam
great.
Was there?
Yeah, Moranzio Vance, Amir K, and Tony Rock. It was a great show. Yeah, and me and Tony went on at the end and did our little duo stuff, telling stories about each other. It was a great
night. The stories y'all tell? Oh, my God. I missed that.
It was a good night, yeah. We'll go on stage and do this tag team stuff. So, but thank you guys for supporting Ruby Tuesdays. We will be back January the 7th. The 7th. 8th is a Wednesday.
We do Wednesdays.
No, I said Ruby Tuesdays will be back.
Oh, I thought you meant here.
Ruby Tuesdays will be back January the 7th. And we will be back here because we're taking the holidays off from the podcast. So we'll be back live January the 8th.
It's the day after the Ruby the first Ruby Tuesday 2020.
Yeah.
It'll be the first Best of everything for 2020.
Yeah.
So Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Happy Hanukkah.
Happy
Hanukkah.
Happy
Kwanzaa. Feliz Navidad.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Johnny, how are those Latino tours coming?
Oh yeah, one last thing, bro. Hey man, if there's anybody looking for a Latino comic to do like a Latino tour for 2020, or I like to call 2020, just hit me up, man, because I can do all those Latino tours at any given time, man. Okay, Feliz Navidad, bro.
Hey, by the way, Paul Rodriguez came and did Ruby Tuesdays.
When?
Not this past week, but the week before.
Was it a pop? Did he pop in?
He popped in, man. It was really funny, man.
Oh,
he was really funny. He popped in. It was Paul Rodriguez.
Yo, y'all got to go
Andrew
to
Schultz.
Tuesdays.
Who?
Andrew Schultz was there.
Yeah,
That
I remember that night. I remember you
Yeah,
telling me that.
it was a good night.
Man.
It
Was
a good
Paul
night. Taylor Tomlinson was hilarious. It was just a great night. Everybody
was
killed it.
Paul? I'm sure Paul was asking for me. Was he wondering if I was
You do
there?
a great Paul Rodriguez.
Hey, you know what? Can I ask you one question, Cabron? Hey, where's Johnny? I really love that guy, man. He's hilarious. Where is he? Ruben? Because without him, your podcast is nothing. I can tell you that right now.
Yo, that's the best of everything, man. We appreciate you guys. Tell a friend, spread the word.
Yeah.
Share.
On iTunes, Google Play,
Share.
YouTube. Spread the word. We appreciate you
get the
guys, and
numbers
we'll
up.
see you guys in 2020.
Follow me at Michael Bearden
Yes.
on IG. Where else am I? Twitter.
All at Michael Bearden,
and
right?
Facebook.
It's at Michael Bearden.
Michael
At
Bearden.
Michael
Please
Bearden.
follow him.
Yes.
Follow his career. He's one of the best in the business, and bigger and better things are coming for this man.
We got a lot more to talk about.
A lot more to talk about.
All
But thank you guys. Happy New Year.
Peace.
Tuesdays.
This show is all about diversity and bringing everyone together. You never know who you're going to see at Ruby Tuesdays.